Hey everyone, it's Dubsteprod. This is going to be my eggs and flour rush to gas production guide. Not going to be using any NFTs, and I'll try to do this as fast as I can, so let's get started. Okay, going to be doing this one in a plains biome that's somewhat close to a city with nothing next to it. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is build a chicken coop in this spot right here. And I'm going to sell a batch of gasoline. I know I'm not going to need all the gasoline, and selling a batch at the start is going to give me some good amount of money to progress through this faster. I'm also going to build a second builder right there, that way I can get some built quicker. This spot right here, I'm going to build a road. That way I can build a lumberjack right here and a ranch house right there. So with the money I got, I'm going to be building a second chicken coop right here. And the reason I'm building the chicken coops in these spots is because it'll have the one passive water it needs being provided from the pond right here. And both of these spots are relatively close to the storehouse. That way the rancher won't have to walk as far. Okay, so we got our rancher out. We got our first chicken coop, so that way we'll slowly start producing eggs. We're working on our second chicken coop so we can produce eggs a little faster. And I collected the money from selling the batch of wheat. And I'm going to build a well right here. So the well is going to allow the farmer to water the wheat fields faster. But eventually we're also going to want to build ponds here that'll provide passive water to the wheat and passive water to trees, and the second well really helps out for that too. Alright, we got our second chicken coop in, and I'm also going to build another lumberjack in this spot right here. That way we have two lumberjacks collecting wood. And eventually we'll need the spare wood in the wood shed to start building other things like windmills. Alright, so in the meantime we wait for our eggs. We gotta get 10 eggs, so our first batch. And once I get 10 wheat, I'm also going to sell another batch of wheat to make sure I don't run out of money. Okay, so I just got my 10th egg, so I can sell my first batch of eggs right here for some good amount of money. And I'm gonna go ahead and buy 6 meadows right here so the chickens won't have to walk as far to collect feed. So the pastures have a 20-minute cooldown, and the meadows have a 45-second cooldown. That's why I recommend placing a couple. I'm going to be placing 3 per chicken coop, so a total of 6 of them. Okay, so the money I got from the eggs, I'm going to be using it to build my first windmill right here. So now that my windmill is built, I'll be producing flour and I'll be producing eggs, and that's where I'll be getting the most of my money. So I'm actually going to turn on my auto sell now that I have a flour and some eggs. That way I don't have to constantly keep selling them myself. Go to the menu, click customize under auto sell. Let's take off the wheat and put eggs. Keep them on 0, that way as soon as I get 10 eggs it sells them. And same thing with the flour. And then make sure to go back to the menu and actually turn on the auto sell. So you'll see as soon as I get 10 eggs and 10 flour, it'll start selling those without me having to do anything on my side. Okay, so I sold a batch of eggs right there, and I'm going to be investing that money into a pond, which I'm going to be placing right there. And this pond's going to allow me to have enough passive water for both of these wheat right here. That way the farmer won't have to waste time watering those anymore. And eventually I'm going to need that water to place trees. But I'm also going to want to build another pond right here to have full passive water for the trees. Alright, great. We have our pond built. So now the farmer won't have to water these wheat right here. We'll be able to produce it much faster. And we're going to build our second windmill right here. That way it won't be casting any shade on this windmill, and they'll both have green timers. I am going to have to build a road right here. So with the money I just got from selling that batch of eggs, I am going to build my third pond right here because eventually I will need it for the trees. And just waiting for this windmill to finish building, that way I can start producing flour on this one as well. And I almost have my first batch of flour ready to sell. Alright, so now I have 2 windmills and 2 chicken coops, so I'll get a decent supply of eggs and flour. Waiting for this third pond to finish building. But I'm also going to go ahead and build another lumberjack. Otherwise, eventually I'll run out of wood. Going to build a road right here. That way I have more spots to place buildings. And I'm just going to build a lumberjack in this spot right there. Okay, so our third pond finished building. That's great. I'm going to build a oak tree right here because eventually we're going to need oak wood for the water pumps. Each water pump needs 3 oak wood, and we're going to need to build 2 water pumps to supply passive water drums to the refineries when we make gasoline. So oak trees should require 5 water, but as of this recording there's a bug in the game and it's showing a 6 water requirement. So just to be safe, I recommend placing the oak tree right here since there's already 6 passive water flowing into it. So we just got some money from selling our batch of flour, and we're about to sell a batch of eggs right there. So the money we just got, I'm going to invest in a 3rd windmill, and I'm also going to be building roads right here. The roads to allow this miller to walk to the silo faster. And I'm also going to be building roads over here connecting to the 3rd windmill we're about to build. Okay, and I'm building the 3rd windmill in this spot, that way it won't cast any shade on this windmill over here. So we're gonna have 3 windmills with green timers. And I just got more money from selling the batch of eggs, and that money is going to be invested towards a 3rd chicken coop, which I'm planning to place in either of these 2 spots. Work fine, but I'm going to place it in this spot right here. And eventually I'm gonna want more meadows to produce feed faster. So eventually I'll place down 3 meadows right here, but I'll wait for these chickens right here to eat these pastures. Also, since it looks like I'm slowly running out of wood, I'm going to build another lumberjack to collect wood faster. And I'm going to build 2 tree farms. Now both of the tree farms should be in these 2 spots, that way they have 5 passive water being supplied to them, so nobody will have to water them. Third windmill is built, and of course I want that one to be making flour as well. Just waiting on our 3rd chicken coop right here. Alright, 3rd chicken coop is built. Now we got a total of 3 chicken coops producing eggs, 3 windmills producing flour, and we're almost about to sell our next batch of eggs and next batch of flour, so we're gonna get a good sum of money from that. It looks like we're about to get our 3rd oak wood, so that's great for the water pump. Right now just waiting to save up money to start on our industrial area, which is going to be over here. First I'm going to be building 3 meadows right here, that way this chicken coop is able to get to the feed faster. Okay, so we're getting that money in. I'm going to want to build a couple roads over here. And I'm going to want to build a warehouse here. I'm going to need the warehouse to store energy in. And I'm also going to have an oil pump right here on this tile. Okay, I have these 2 built, the warehouse and the oil pump. So I'm going to need a wind turbine before I build the worker house. And I'm going to build the wind turbine in this spot right here, that way it won't be getting any shade from the worker house, which I plan to put right here. So I'm going to need a road right here first, and I'll put the wind turbine right here. Okay, wind turbine is built. That way we have energy coming from here, and we'll have crude oil coming from here. Crude oil will go to the fuel storage, which is right there for now. And the energy will go in the warehouse. So to pick up the crude oil and the energy, we'll need the industrial worker, which I'll place in that tile right there. Now, of course, I usually like to build a fuel storage near where I'm going to be putting the refinery making gas and petroleum. This is optional, but I'm going to be building a fuel storage right there. And later down the line, like way later when I run out of all this gas, I'll be deleting this fuel storage and just be using this one. To me, it's more efficient to have the fuel storage closer to the refineries. That way you're producing gas a bit faster. Also, I noticed I have 6 oak wood, and that's all the oak wood I'm going to be needing for the 2 water pumps that I'll be making. So I'm gonna go ahead and sell my oak tree farm since I have no need for it anymore. And I'm going to build a regular tree farm there so I can have another source of wood nearby. And I'll also be building yet another lumberjack right here to gather wood much quicker. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting to collect wood to put on the woodshed so my builders can finish building this fuel storage, I'm also going to want to build a pond in this area right here, because we'll need the ponds to place the water pumps right next to it, and the water pumps will be necessary to passively supply water drums to the refinery. Okay, so fuel storage is about to finish building, and they're still working on the pond right there, making progress. I'm going to build a second oil pump, that way I'm producing crude oil a bit faster, because I'll need much more crude oil later, and I'm also going to need more energy, so I'm going to be building a wind turbine in this spot right here. Of course, I need a road for the wind turbine. Alright, so pond finally finished building, so we can start building our first water pump, which I'm going to be building in this spot right here. Okay, so they'll start using 3 of the oak woods on that right there, and they also have to finish building this wind turbine right here. Okay, finally we got our first water pump built right here, and I'm going to build my first refinery in this spot right here. And the builders are pretty slow, honestly, so I'm gonna speed it up by building a third builder house in between them. Okay, so the refinery is just about to be done, finished building. I'm going to have it making petroleum, so it's going to be using the crude oil and the energy we've gathered all this time. And I'm going to build my second water pump while it's doing that right here. So in the meantime, while it's making petroleum, builders are going to be making the water pump, which I'll need for gasoline production, since gasoline production requires 2 water drums. Okay, so it's about to finish building the second water pump. I'm going to start building my second refinery in this spot right here. This is going to be the dedicated refinery for petroleum, and then we'll switch this refinery to gasoline. In the meantime, I'm going to be building a whole section of roads over here. That way, our industrial worker will be able to gather the energy slightly quicker. Okay, I'm actually going to build a third windmill right here to produce energy quicker. And I've been noticing I'm actually running out of flour, so I'm going to create another wheat field somewhere where it'll have a green timer, which will be this spot right here. That way it has enough passive water and it'll have a green timer. Okay, so our wind turbine is done, but also our second refinery. So we're going to turn off this one and set it to gasoline. And we'll have this one making petroleum. So now we don't have to mess with these. They'll be making petroleum, and this one will be using the petroleum to make the gasoline. It is going to take a lot of energy, but that's why we have 3 wind turbines running. Eventually we'll want to build power plants in between them, right next to the water pumps. That way you will have all the passive energy being supplied to the refineries. But that's going to have to be another video. Before I end this one off, I do recommend having another temporary industrial worker right here. That way you'll be able to gather the energy from the wind turbines slightly faster. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this well right here. We don't need it right now. And I'm going to build a second farmer. As well as another wheat field somewhere where there's 4 passive water. Right here will be fine. And I accidentally said 4 passive water, but I meant 3 passive water. The wheat field only needs 3 passive water. There we go, we got our worker house built. So this whole setup right here, you'll be automatically producing gasoline to sell your eggs and your flour. You may want to ramp up your energy production and your crude oil production. That way you have enough gasoline to continuously sell eggs and flour at a fast rate before you expand all this and start making more flour and more eggs. But this whole setup right here is automatic gas, and you really could leave it on all night and get a bunch of money from this. But yeah, eventually you'll want to save up your money, build power plants right here and right here. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. It was significantly faster than the Wool Rush video I've done before, so that's good. And also my game runs very slowly while I'm recording. As you can see, it's dropping to 5 frames per second now. It was about 10 or 15 frames per second most of the time. And this setup, it looks like it took me an hour and a half, but if you have a fast enough connection, you should be able to do this in under an hour with no NFTs. So I hope this guide was able to help any new player out there. This is very good information to start out with, and from here on you can expand. Preferably you would want something next to your tile, like you would want an ocean if you want to eventually produce cakes or baguettes, or a mountain if you want to produce wine or blue steel, or rivers just for the passive water. Honestly, it helps a lot. If you don't know what all the tiles do, I do have a video about it with a lot of information and the pros and cons of choosing forest, plains, and desert. And I also have something called the Town Star Playbook, helpful document to help out any new players or even experienced players with plenty of information. So yeah, that's it for this guide. Hope it was able to help you out, and thanks for watching.